The Zone Coverage Podcast Network.
The Andy, Luke, and Reef football machine.
Autobots, transform! I like this kind of party!
Straight cash, homie.
Starts now.
Welcome back to Thunderdome for another Zone Coverage Football Machine, Zone Coverage Podcast Network. I'm your not so humble host, Andy Carlson, at Andy Carlson Show on the Twitter machine. And I have equity. Still laugh at this one, even though this is take two. More equity than Mark Craig currently has on Twitter.com.
It was good. It was good.
Yeah, it was good the first time. Joining me, as always, is that shade at the new producer. We'll get into it. Joining me, as always, is no, not a Reef. He's not here. But Luke Inman, Luke _spin. Man, Luke, how's it going?
Always good to be back, boys.
Is it though?
No.
Is it?
I hate it here.
How was your vacation? How was your
vacation?
vacation? How was South Africa? How was the trip?
It was good. It was really good.
Dude, you went to South Africa?
He's enlightened now.
No, but see, that's the thing. You believed it.
No, you got to roll with him, man.
God, man, you just look so
Wait till
good.
he does you.
You look so
For
good.
the brand, Yinka Ayende, the gentleman with the second longest show streak. Sexy Prince, what's going on?
I really do. You know,
Yeah.
when you think about it, I'm here all the time. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
You're like, who's the, besides Ripken and Gehrig, who else has an Iron Man streak in baseball? Tom, T-Shire3.
Oh, that's a good question. I'd have to look up who.
You're supposed to be the
next.
baseball guy at Zone
Well,
No one does
Coverage.com.
that. No one does that anymore. Not day night double.
It was Favre, and then Eli had the longest, and then they benched him last year. Who's got
Yeah,
the
that was
current
bad.
now? It's another quarterback I know, but I can't remember who.
Yeah,
It's like Alex Smith or something.
yeah. But Tom, you're not producing. You're just sitting in a Reef's chair.
We have I know.
Analytics.
Yeah, no, I'll read off numbers. 'cause
That's
I
right.
can do that.
No, do the intro for the new guy, the newbie, the neophyte.
Yeah. We got Eric Foster here. He comes from the SciShow. He is actually a sound engineer. Actually, an engineer, as in he can work the board and not clip.
Wait,
like
so
I do.
can you don't have a mic, but can you design a bridge? Just shake yes or no. Oh, wait, no. Ooh, what about train engineer? Like, toot toot. No, that's a
He
negative.
is unable to do either.
That's a negative as well.
What kind of train?
Toot 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 toot. I have a long after show story about that, but we'll get into that. Actually, that should be a third hour show, but whatever. Today, Arif is going to be in here a little bit late because that's on brand. But today we're talking about the stupid Buffalo game, looking ahead towards the Rams, Thursday Night Football. Does Thursday Night Football have a song? You know, Monday night's got dun 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 dun. Sunday night's got Sunday night.
It's
I should probably know this.
Carrie Underwood.
Yeah. Then of course we'll talk about Everson Griffin as well. But gentlemen, how's your weeks? How's your weeks in general?
I can't complain. We had a good show at Lucky's. Luke's eating like all of the food right now. No, we've been out at Lucky's in Burnsville. You can come say hi to us. I feel like we got a
great
few more.
showing so far.
Yeah, good showing so far.
3 in a row. Thursday night tomorrow, obviously,
Yeah.
we'll be there giving away zone coverage gear, giving away some fangirl gear. Lucky's obviously gives us some gift cards to play around with. We do a lot of trivia.
Hats and shirts from
A
them.
lot of hats,
Yeah.
a lot of shirts, a lot of write-offs. But
Yeah, I mean, you think there's write-offs. Someone's paying that.
But no, it's a lot of fun. I think our boy Sam Ekstrom's going to be down there helping me with some trivia tomorrow night. So get your butts down there and win some freebies. I'm trying to get Tom to give away some memberships, but he won't. do it.
This just hit me. We need to rebrand Sam because Sam is a pro's pro. He's great. He's a great journo.
Yeah.
He's a very nice guy. We need to up his boisterous level. So we need to rebrand him as Samuel L. Ekstrom.
Oh, God.
That's beautiful.
That should be a shirt.
I'm sick of all these
Good
motherfuckers.
God.
A shark ate me. Drink it. It'll get you drunk.
Yinka, about your week.
Yeah, man, it's been pretty good. I tried to rewatch that Buffalo game, and
It was not fun.
it wasn't, and I didn't get through it.
You know, it's more fun. Just rewatch the Rams game from last year. That was fun.
Here's what you need to do
or
is
from 2015.
we need to get some shirts. Papa Luke, we forgot the shirts at Lucky's. I went all the way back to the studio, which is about a half-hour drive.
Didn't need
Left
to.
Luke
Didn't need
on
to.
his own, and And listening to Paul Allen
Oh, yeah.
in the
This was
Bills
my
game
favorite part.
when the Bills are racking up the scores, I was crying. I felt bad.
Yeah.
I mean, I felt bad just
Well,
as a
because
person.
PA is the kind of guy, he gets really emotional.
gets emotional.
Emotionally attached.
He's
to the
invested.
game.
He's
So
bought in.
Yeah, so you can definitely feel like when we're losing, he's feeling every little bit of it. So.
Yeah.
You think you don't got a couple G's on every game on that line? No. You came into Lucky's and you were like,
I was
yeah,
crying.
PA. You
I
were
was
like,
dying.
you're like, PA's losing it.
So
right now.
who's
I'm
that-
like, well, what do you
I
mean?
mean, you
He's
know
like,
that-
he's just struggling.
You know that
He's-
stretch of 35 where you can literally see the city from there?
Yeah.
Like I had to like remember I was driving. Like I was just dying because you're kind of in cruise control.
I wanna meet the like 76-year-old guy, put his entire retirement into the spread of that Buffalo game, and you're just like, the wife's just like so pissed at him, like, why would you do that? And now he's gajillionaire. Because you know there's someone, his name is like Rob or something. He has like one
It's
chest
Josh
hair.
Allen's grandpa.
Yeah. And you just get torched. Oh my goodness.
Imagine if you not only pick the Bills, but pick the Bills to win by that margin too. That had to be like 1,000 to 1 in Vegas.
Well, like
no joke.
how many survivor pools just got wrecked?
Most.
Yeah, yeah.
Not all.
I was in. There was only about 10 of us to begin with. There were
Yep.
6 of us going into yesterday. 5 of us, incling me, lost on Minnesota, and the other team lost on New England. And now we're starting all over because
man.
everybody lost.
There should be a survivor pool. You can only pick road teams to win. That'd be a lot of fun.
Interesting.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. Also, a lot of fun is becoming a subscriber, zonecoverage.com. And also, Arif Hassan is in the building on brand.
Look at how cool this guy is.
He just walks
he
in.
just shows up
nonchalantly
late.
Look how
and-
cool this guy- I don't know if he can hear us. Or not.
Arif's looking at.
Yeah.
He's looking at the computer. He's like, "Who's this producer? Why don't we have equipment from 1993?"
Now, we got a new guy in. Tom's a contributor on the show now, apparently. That whole thing. It's all very
I'm
exciting.
an expert. I listened to the first half. You missed this. I listened to the first half. PA was killing me, and then I watched the
You
second
said
half. From
PA. I
Lucky's.
was like, well, explain that. What do you mean he was killing you? He's like,
Oh,
he sounded
was a-
like he was going to lose it.
he was a wounded animal.
He sounded
Yeah.
like he was going to have a breakdown.
You say anything interesting?
No, he did
No,
not.
He just it was just a slow, painful death. Like the game.
That's probably its own art.
Reef, also, we need to talk
art.
about, like, your mic is so dented on the top. I assume that's just because everyone did the mic drop thing.
Yeah,
So-
well, yeah.
Or Gronk spike.
That's probably true.
It's to fit his beard.
I sound really warm on this mic, I think.
Yeah.
It's just
Your word.
No.
It's to
Sounds
make up.
great.
It's to make
Yeah.
up your.
No, get really close to it, NPR style. This is all things considered, and the only thing we didn't consider is that Buffalo would win and cover. And everything. Josh Allen is still trash. He did not have a good game. No,
He didn't have a bad game.
Yeah.
But he
when you
didn't-
when you
It was
say it
actually-
like that, when you say
the
he was
Josh Allen
okay,
coming out party.
he didn't do anything particularly special to help win the game. When
Yeah.
you say that, Buffalo Bills fans gets mad, and I actually understand, right? Because people have been crapping on this quarterback forever throughout
Yeah.
the draft process. They made fun of Buffalo for drafting him. He actually had a pretty good training camp, but every moment that he messed up in training camp, including interceptions, went viral on social media. So I can see why Bills fans are like really sensitive. But he also just like didn't actually have a good game. It wasn't bad.
See, Bills Mafia got very high on their horse for a team that's still going to go 2-14. That's all I
Right, yeah,
gotta
and
say.
congrats. I thought the team was going to go
Yeah.
0-16. Thought the team was one of the worst teams we'd seen, worse than the 0-16 Browns,
They
worse
still
than the
might
0-16
be.
Lions.
Yeah,
It
enjoy.
might be, but it's always hard to make the argument, especially after they beat a top, not even just win, but like beat a top 10 team.
Yeah, enjoy your nightlife at
road.
Applebee's, and also making babies like Jordan Matthews. That's all I have to say to you, Western New York.
What's Fitzpatrick's excuse? He's got another kid coming.
I don't know. Oh,
I mean,
it's
did you see the way that he looked after that one game? Of
yeah,
course,
he's
hasn't
been
had
wearing
a
Deshaun
kid.
Jackson's
true, yeah.
clothes for years now, or months at least. Yeah. But become a subscriber at zonecoverage.com. $2.99 a month. You can be someone. Also, subscribe to the show. Rate, review us on iTunes. Help us climb the charts there. Really important. But before the get into the Bills game and also look ahead to the Rams, we got to talk about the Everson Griffin situation. Now, most listeners have been abreast, and the whole reports, rumors. Everyone has a seventh-hand source. Then even conflicting reports and retractions from like news outlets. It's weird, and it's like, oh, okay, the Hotel Ivy, Trey Wayne's house. Did it happen? Did it not? Did he jump off an ambulance? Did he not? But bottom line, from what we can gather, is that team been concerned about him for a couple weeks. Team actively wanted him to get him help, and now he's getting it. Football secondary. Is that where we're at?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Everson Griffin has, with his personality, he's a guy that it's easy to fall in love with. He's obviously the heart of the team and whatnot. But, I mean, people they deal with a lot of, mental issues or conditions and whatnot that it always needs to come, it needs to be their primary focus and whatnot. And with football, where, you are on this grind and players do invest a lot of themselves mentally and physically into the game, it's sometimes you just really need to take off that helmet and really see that face that gets put in those jerseys and whatnot. And sometimes I think we forget about it. So yeah, we want. I believe that we all want what's best for Everson and his family. So not playing football is probably the best thing right now.
Yep, Luke.
Couldn't agree more. I mean, obviously, you hit a lot of the talking points that we were all talking about last night.
Yeah, talking point hog.
My bad.
Sorry.
No, I think I'm still waiting for the rest of the kind of minor details to come out. Just exactly, I think, what happened at the hotel and what happened at Trey Waynes' house and all this and that, kind of putting the timeline together. But at the end of the day, none of it really matters as long as he's going to get help now. And that's, again, what sounds like the Vikings have been trying to get him to do the last few weeks. Again, I'm interested to know that timeline as well. How long have the Vikings maybe known about some irregularities or some just kind of off-character behaviors? And, how long has it been going on? Has it been a week? Has it been a month since training camp? Remember, he's been out on and off quite a bit. Not just the last few weeks, but the last few months and even maybe the last few year or two. So
I really felt like something was up when they listed him on the injury report last week with the toe. And then when asked about by the media, he's like, what toe? And it's like, something doesn't add up here.
But did you think it was something like this to this severity? I thought it was maybe, and when you mentioned that, and some other people mentioned that, your wheels start spinning. But I thought maybe it was some sort of, I don't know, slap on the wrist type of thing with law enforcement or something in that nature. But nothing like
I thought
this
it was more
the severity.
Potentially covering up like a different injury. And then, of course, he had that training camp thing with the laceration on the leg. It's just like, what is going on?
Also, I'm going to sound a lot less warm. No, we're using this mic?
Yeah.
Okay. There were I'm confused, easily confused. There were people who thought that the laceration on his leg was suspicious by itself too.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They thought it was like
why
a
that
self-inflicted
tipped
thing.
them off. Yeah. Maybe not self-inflicted, but
just something goofy.
Yeah,
with the
I mean,
whole backstory to it.
Yeah, I had people, asking me about rumors they heard about it, which is like, you don't normally hear rumors about like a player injury.
Yeah.
And this didn't occur like on the field or anything, so people are always going to kind of speculate. But still, it was kind of weird. We don't know if it's connected or not. I'm not saying that it is, but I mean that's just like it's been kind of a strange offseason when it comes to Everson Griffin and his absences and stuff like that, and. We've now learned that there may be a consistent through line for what that could be. The team had mentioned that he'd been acting, or I guess not the team, but reporters with like sources inside the team, been mentioning that he'd been acting not like his usual self, I think is the phrase they used, for a couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that goes all the way back to training camp or if it just goes back to week one or whatever. Mm-hmm. But it's worrisome and speaks to a problem and tells us that maybe Griffin had been suffering for quite a while.
Yeah, and the whole getting checked into a mental health facility voluntarily, it does sort of reframe Everson's earlier career with the Vikings and at USC. It's like, was it more immaturity there? But now it puts a different light on potentially what it could be, and also for the person. But not gonna lie, it bugged me. Everyone running rampant with like rumors, like not anyone here, hashtag professionals, but just everyone had like 19th hand sources.
Yeah, a lot of people.
Come on, man.
Suddenly had sources. Bunch of people working in the hotel industry.
Yeah.
Bunch of people friends with. Local municipality
I know a guy who
police
knows
officers.
a guy who works in the hotel.
But it's okay.
Who works in the kitchen.
5 a.m. looks a lot like 1:26 p.m.
Yeah,
it
not that
really
far
does.
off.
I mean, it's
You
starting
look
to be
at
winter.
it just when you squint at your phone. I mean, it's like the same number, really.
No,
Right.
Yeah, but
What is time?
I thought that was
really?
daylight savings.
Flat circle.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
basically
that's fair.
when
Yeah.
clocks change.
But something that's been odd to me
Twice
is
a
like,
day.
how is there no cell phone video? Like a lot of the story, as reported, took place publicly. It's like at the gas station, at the hotel.
So part of the gas station too. He got into a stranger's car.
This is what it seems like. A
And
person
he just started
didn't
driving
think
around.
was a stranger.
No, he thought. But
The-
how's that guy not when he's getting back out, take a snapshot or something? I don't know.
Well, I mean, props
there's a
to
lot
that
of
guy,
different
right?
There's a lot of different time frames in the timeline itself that it's like you're right, Andy. Somebody probably should have got
There's also
something at some point.
Not a ton of people in like the lobby of a hotel at like 1:30 p.m. So
True.
it might just be that no one.
And the workers are not.
It's just crazy. Like
videotape it.
Right.
Jimmy Butler plays basketball.
Yeah, it's a
Plymouth,
nice hotel.
right?
It's
And
not a
like all
Ramada.
over the internet.
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tom just always tries to bring it back to basketball or baseball.
It's relevant. Jimmy Butler's playing basketball. If you guys want to go to Lifetime Plymouth, you can go play basketball.
There's a
with Jimmy
lot of good
Butler.
hotels in Miami. That's where Jimmy Butler's headed. Yeah. But of course, we all wish the best for Everson. Of course, football is not even on the radar. Just get himself right because there's a lot of life after playing the game as well. Speaking of the game, so the Bills already touched on it a little bit, but I mean, not gonna lie, entire last week I was just thinking in the back of my head, it's like this is a very Viking spot. I mean, you're 17-point favorites at home. That makes sense. But and also short week, hottest team in football. You got to go to their place on Thursday, and just getting shellacked.
Is this 2010?
I mean, there's so many reasons to think that it is the.
Is it 2000? Like is
We'll
it
find out
2010?
here real quick. in the
Sports
next
by
week
Brooks
or
is back.
two.
Yeah, which is no, it's you guys watch like a 100-yard dash or 100-meter dash at the Olympics, and they do like side by sides, or no, swimming's a better one, where they see the world record.
The little line.
Yeah,
the
so
line.
that's 2010. So far this year, it's neck and neck, slightly ahead of the line, but we'll see if it keeps up. I mean, 2010
that
really
line
accelerated late.
Yeah,
Yeah, the line definitely.
It's a late breaker, like Usain Bolt,
Yeah.
long strider, 2010.
Yeah, it's like it's like the men's relay where Michael Phelps just like crushed the line. Like you got to work. So yeah, the season I think started off a little weirder than the 2010 season. This time the heartbreaking loss, instead of occurring in week 1, occurs in week 3.
We knew it would occur.
Yeah, right, yeah. Well, I mean, especially if you're comparing it to like 2010, right? Because like last year. That loss to Pittsburgh, it wasn't heartbreaking. It was expected, right? Backup quarterback in there. This year, you favored by 17 points. This is like it hasn't happened, right? Since what was it, 95?
I forgot that they had to play the Giants at Ford Field because of the dome.
Yeah,
I completely forgot
What's
about
crazy
that.
is that the Tuesday night game, the only Tuesday night game in NFL history, the Vikings are the only winners of Tuesday night games in NFL history. The Tuesday night game didn't occur because of anything. It was just a snowstorm in Philadelphia, and Joe Webb got to play.
Yeah, the Twan Winfield game. It was great. Also, Corey Wooten ending Brett Favre's career on the hard concrete of frozen TCF Bank Stadium.
And then joining the team like 2 years later.
Great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Didn't he do the Dave Chappelle dance or whatever?
Did
when
he?
When he did
The
sack
robot?
him? Yeah, the little robot thing from.
He might have.
The Chappelle Show.
Oh, yeah.
He definitely did a few of those.
Yeah.
I don't remember if it was after the Favre hit for sure, but yeah, he definitely did a few of those.
That game, I
call.
think, Chris Cluey was complaining about how tough or concrete like the field was.
We need a different coordinator in here next year.
And then I don't think that's what he was complaining about. So he was complaining about the turf on Twitter, and a bunch of people told him to like nut up and that he shouldn't have to worry about it. And then Favre gets knocked out because he hits the turf.
Yeah.
It's just like
Cluey's like, it feels like it was nuked.
I feel like nut up. You can't say nut up unless you have a dip in.
yeah, no, it's
I feel like
a
it's
very
ubiquitous.
yeah. But yeah, Favre goes out. That season also featured a game against the Bills with
Magic that got him the contract.
yeah.
It was great.
Yeah.
God, I love 2010. Actually, I hope this year's like 2010. I don't care at this point.
So what matches like the craziness? Because again, that late season stretch was crazy, right?
Yeah.
What matches the craziness of the dome collapsing? Do we have like a version of that? That's nuts.
I don't know. Some at TC, like the practice field collapses, went to the lowest bidder. Or so who's the Randy Moss? Like who's the Vikings
It's
legend
Adrian
that comes
Peterson.
back?
No, there's
from
no
him?
question. It's Adrian Peterson. The trade for him, and then cut him 2 weeks later.
Yeah, we have to bring AP back.
Yeah, the fact that
Hey, you look good.
the fact that he's out there just makes it.
No, can it be?
So-
Can it be Cordero? Just you're getting him back from the Patriots. Send a 3rd-round pick. Just light that thing on fire.
Well, Cordero never really established himself as being like, oh my God, this could be like our.
Yeah, I don't think anyone would be like out of their minds excited that Cordero Patterson is back. Right?
He's got more first.
But there is a faction of Vikings Twitter who is waiting.
Oh yeah,
like they would bring out their 28 jerseys out.
And hey, if Adrian Peterson continues to have, I don't know, he's got like one bad game, one good game, one bad game, one good game, whatever. If he continues to have good games, at least for the majority of the games, it'd be very easy to buy into that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
Randy Moss was a 4-time first-team All-Pro. Cordero Patterson 2-time, as well as the second team. No
He's
big
basically
deal.
Randy Moss.
Yeah, I mean, he's getting there. Certainly. But
He is not.
back to the Bills. So it's from Pat_Thorman. Kirk Cousins was pressured on more dropbacks yesterday. 32. The Ryan Tannehill, 18. Jared Goff, 23. Tom Brady, 26. Derek Carr, 29. And Mitch Jerome Trubisky, 30. Have been pressured all season. Not a great day for the O-line. Riley Reif, we found out, had a potentially hidden injury, which caused...
It had to be the injury.
Caused Jerry Hughes to be just LT.
The amount of pressure that Riley Reif gave up in one game
uncharacteristic.
Was more than some offensive tackles have given up in 3 seasons.
3 seasons.
And he had been
well, I mean,
playing
take a look at who the Vikings were going to go up against. Andrew Whitworth, left tackle.
Yeah.
He gives up an average of like 3 pressures a season, no sacks. He hasn't given up a sack in like 10 years.
Reef, haven't you seen John Clayton's reports? He's missing the game.
What?
John Clayton reported that Andrew Whitworth was getting his knee scoped, and then Whitworth replied with him getting a massage. He's like, nope.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. So Andrew Whitworth on average is like 3 pressures a year or something like that. He hasn't given up that many pressures.
What is average? Like, do you know what league average is?
It's like, I mean, the amount that it's like, 3 sacks,
Like a serviceable starter. Let's say a serviceable
8 hits
starter.
and I don't know, like 12 hurries.
Yeah,
so
12, 15 hurries.
Yeah, so 15, 8, 3. Add that up. Whatever that is, 26.
Yeah.
So he did like a. Yeah.
Yeah.
He
Well,
did
in fact,
half of that in a game.
I think
in one
PFF even
game.
mentioned that one game was about a third of an average tackle. So,
And again, he had been playing pretty good up until that point. So I agree with you that, well, not like that, though.
Certainly, yeah.
Nothing like
Yeah.
that. So I think the injury had a lot.
I think, very
to.
I
uncharacteristic.
think the shocking thing is that Reef, Remmers, like 2 of the stalwarts, were the worst offensive linemen in the Bills game.
Yeah, the
And
2 that spent the most on were the 2 that, because Remmers gave up 8 pressures.
Yeah.
That's huge itself too.
yeah, from a guard, which is
Yeah.
Do you blame the O-line, or do you think the Bills are better than
I think
defensively?
Blame is a weird way to put it.
I think game script really went against the offense because it turned into a must-throw situation like so early in the game that it's the Bills could just
which
pin their ears
accelerates-
back.
Yeah,
pin
the
their
amount of
ears
pressure
behind their
that
back,
comes,
right?
yeah.
Where they say, yeah.
And I know there were people like in Vikings Twitter and in the comment section of some articles that were just like, God, they should have run. They should have established the run. And it's like,
27
We're
nothing.
kidding me? They don't have time to waste.
No, they need to respect play action, run the ball.
Yeah, so they need to respect. Yeah, who are you tricking? But yeah, so that plays definitely a big role. The offensive line plays a big role. The thing is, so whenever we talk about quarterbacks and they're like, oh, they're under so much pressure, we have to talk about it like, and we've done this a lot because Vikings quarterbacks have been under a ton of pressure. Sam Bradford's had bad games under pressure. Case Keenum's had bad games under pressure. Bridgewater's had some bad games under pressure. Maybe. Ponder's had some bad games under pressure. Castle's had some bad games under pressure. And very often, after the fact, we're very willing to say, well, they should perform better under pressure. But while they're the starting quarterback, Vikings fans are very hesitant to say, okay, he was under pressure a lot, and that's not necessarily his fault. But given that, once we adjust our expectations for that context, he still performed poorly. People don't want to do that.
No.
And I think that's the job of the quarterback. So if you're not under pressure 50% of the game, maybe you're under pressure 30% of the game or whatever, which is pretty average, and you still perform really poorly under pressure, you're probably going to lose the game. So I would say Cousins shares the blame, certainly not the most blame. Maybe you'd say it's the offensive line the most, but at the same time, Cousins tends to fumble more than most other quarterbacks in those situations. So,
Which is something that the Bills players did say that they scouted ahead of time.
Lorenzo Alexander said immediately after the game.
What do you mean by his 13 fumbles in Washington last year? What are you even talking about?
So he's got to figure out a way to preserve ball security.
Small hands, Dante.
He's got to So actually, Dante Culpepper had normal-sized hands, but his fingers were short. His palms were enormous.
Sausage.
He's got large balls.
Sausage.
Yeah, which is the funniest thing. But yeah, so he's got to figure out a way to preserve ball security. He's got to figure out a way to have awareness under pressure, because one of the fumbles is caused by a lack of awareness. Another fumble was caused. I think both fumbles were his fault, even though the pressure wasn't. If he had kept his eyes upfield on the scramble, he would have seen 3 spots to throw the ball. Stephon Diggs, Kyle Rudolph, Adam Thielen. You don't have a problem throwing any of those guys, right? It's not like you're trying to consider whether or not to throw to an open Laquan Treadwell.
Sorry, you're staring
and
on
decide
Treadwell
to scramble instead.
Breathing heavy. It's
Yeah,
like,
right.
this is it.
Like if he sees Treadwell like wide open past the down markers, and he decides to like run his like 4.9 ass past the down marker instead, like I get it. Like okay, yeah, fine,
Sure.
But like Stephon Diggs, Adam Thielen, Kyle Rudolph, just
Pick
give
one.
them the ball.
Let's go.
They were all open.
Pass it to our best players.
Ooh, 4.9 ass. I like that. Something I also like is the wonderful DraftKings, because bragging rights earn huge cash prizes up for grabs this weekend, all season long. DraftKings, you're the leader, one league fantasy sports. Here's what you got to do. Go to DraftKings.com, download the app, use code COVERAGE to enter a contest for free this weekend with your first deposit and compete for your share of over $2 million in cash prizes. That's USD, straight cash, homie. That's coverage. It's the promo code only at DraftKings, the game inside the game. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details. And we're going to bury the Bills game. Like, to honor the late, great Tony Sperano, we're burying this football. It is done. It is finito. I was happy that Leslie Frazier finally got a win in Minnesota, so we'll go with that. All right, Rams.
Good for him.
Rams favored by 6.5, and they're 3-0. Some may say the hottest team in football. 30-plus points all 3 games. Sean McVay, Wade Phillips. They've had 1 3-and-out all season. But, of course,
Take the Vikings against the spread.
yeah, hashtag competition. I mean, they played some crappy teams. But, this all adds up. All the odds are against the Vikings. They turned in that turd. They got Everson. They got the best team in football. They're 2 time zones away, so their body clock by the end of the game is going to be after midnight. But still, Vikings by 1 million. Because you know that's how this works out.
Let's talk about this body clock thing.
East to West sucks.
Yeah. So in the history of Thursday Night Football, so it goes all the way back to 2006. Away teams, it's pretty normal. They win 41.5% of games. They lose by about 2.5 points. Super normal, right? On teams traveling to the West Coast by more than a time zone, there have only been 6 of those games because they tend not to want to play West Coast games at night for some reason. So there's only been 6 of those games, but none of those teams have won a game traveling west. And the average margin of victory, which in this case is the average margin of loss because none of them have won, is negative 10 points.
Ooh.
Super small sample, right? But I think the size of the difference when traveling west, and I'm sure this is kind of true for late night games traveling east, but I thought the short week also played a role. It's the size is so big that I think there's something meaningful there. Now, I wouldn't say it's like, an 8-point disadvantage versus a normal away game or anything like that, but I would say it's probably somewhere between 2.5 and 10 points, right? So that's something to consider too. You don't have time to install a game plan.
Yeah, and also since 06, road teams that have traveled east to west more than 2 time zones are 1-8. 1-8 in 9 games. Cool. Most of those are Chiefs going out to Oakland. By the way, the Chiefs get boned in division games,
Really
man.
do.
Come on. Like I know that Miami has a long flight, but at least it's in the same time zone for all the teams, man.
Yeah, the Chiefs were half of the sample that I constructed when I was looking that up. But also
Half
like,
of the 6 games you're saying?
yeah, half of the so three,
of the 6 games.
were Thursday night games where they had to travel 2 times. Good lord.
Brutal, dude.
But I mean, you had like so it's difficult to tell which of those Chiefs teams were good because they've been very volatile.
I'd be
up and
interested to
down.
see the spreads of
But,
those
like,
10-point losses or
right.
10-point average of loss.
Right. Yeah, that would be really good data to have, which I probably should have just looked up. But you've had some good teams travel west. Like Green Bay got like walloped traveling westward.
Yeah.
Apparently, I don't know
Denver?
which game?
No, I think they won.
You know,
No. So that's Denver's not Pacific time zone, so that didn't show up in my search.
yeah, with the odd travel, like you think that Arizona, when they were in the NFC East before they realigned, like would have had a better advantage, except they were just that terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, yep.
That's fair.
Yeah, but what
Sounds
can you do? So what stands out to you guys about the Rams, other than that they've quietly assembled probably the best offensive line in football, like them and the Eagles? Yeah, John Sullivan had a little something left. What's up?
Yeah. So the Rams are, I think, the 2011 Dream Team gone right. Remember the Eagles team?
Oh,
that-
yeah. Vince
Oh,
Young.
interesting. Yeah.
Well, Vince Young was the backup quarterback,
was
but
the
he's the
backup.
one that said it, right? Nnamdi Asomugha.
Namasawa.
They grabbed a ton of high-value
Lot
free
of 'em.
agents, and everyone was like, Dream Team. Vince Young said it was a dream team. And
D'Amico Ryan,
that's fair.
maybe?
Was he drafted?
Connor
or was he-
Barwin?
Yeah, they grabbed Connor Barwin. It feels like that, except it's worked out thus far. Now with Marcus Peters potentially missing the game, Aqib Talib actually missing the game because of an ankle surgery, it's going to be a little bit easier for the Vikings than you would have initially looked at. But the Rams are weak at edge rusher and at linebacker and basically nowhere else. They've got a really great receiving core. They've got 4 good receivers instead of just 2, although none of those 4 are as good.
I'm surprised you haven't thrown their tight ends under the bus, Arif.
Wow.
Well, I mean, yeah.
There's still time.
No, I mean, like, one of their tight ends. Anyway,
Look
Hunter
at
Henry.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, yeah, so they've got Gerald Everett and Tyler Higbee. And they haven't been doing all that well in the red zone and stuff like that. Tyler Higbee should be in jail. But yeah, they've got a great offensive line. They haven't given up a sack in under 2.5 seconds. Jared Goff is performing better against the blitz than against 4-man pressure. So it'll be difficult to try and short circuit the offensive line by overloading them with players because Goff has the ability to respond quickly to holes in coverage. And so it creates just a lot of problems. Like, how do you when there's a ton of pressure, he tends to dump it off to Gurley, who's phenomenal in space, right? You've got like I said, 4 good receivers. You got Sammy Watkins, Brandon Cooks, you got Cooper Kupp, even Josh Reynolds is a great 4th receiver to have. I'd love to have him as the 3rd receiver for the Vikings.
Pride of Montana?
Texas A&M? No, Josh Reynolds, yeah.
I think Josh Reynolds is A&M.
Yeah.
Damn it.
But yeah, they've got a bunch of talent on offense. It's very difficult to account for all that talent schematically. You might just have to try and find a way to get 4-person pressure. But the problem, of course, is that Everson Griffin's going to be missing the game. And so you're going to have to rely on Stephen Weatherly and Tashawn Bauer. But the problem there then is when you throw younger guys in, they do a ton of misdirection. We
You
saw
gotta be really disciplined.
Yeah.
Really disciplined.
They have a bunch of they execute play action really well. They lead the league in play action percentage, right, in terms of passes. And they do a bunch of misdirection runs. Ty Gurley's had one of the those touchdowns that you don't know if you want to call it a pass or a run, but it's officially logged as a pass. They do a bunch of sweep motions and stuff like that, and so you have to find a way to stay disciplined. You've got young guys that probably want to pin their ears and move upfield, and they have to kind of just stay at home. And that mitigates your opportunities to get 4-person pressure. So they've done a really good job of designing that offense. And now I think Jared Goff is playing better than ever. He made a bunch of throws against the Chargers that I don't think he made last year. I don't think he fit those tight windows. I don't think he made gutsy throws over the middle. I think a lot of it last year was schematically what McVay was able to do for him, and the Vikings were able to take advantage of that. This year, I think Goff is just playing better. He's got a great offensive line, great weapons to throw to, and a good running back to lean on.
Well, I mean, what's McVay ever done with a quarterback that a lot of people questioned during his time in Washington? 4,900-yard season, no big deal.
You know what McVay's doing so well? He's setting them up on 1st and 2nd down. He's killing 1st and 2nd downs and putting them in situations. And you mentioned it, Andy. They have, 1 3 and out? Putting them in situations on 3rd down.
Who knows?
That's more than 3rd and manageable. I mean, very easy to convert convert or gives you a good efficiency rate. And I think you mentioned the offensive line. It starts up front. Nobody 2 years ago would have thought this would have been the offensive line. That's really how good they look, maybe in the top 5 as far as offensive lines in the entire league.
Team is trash. He's really good.
When you talk about the construction of the dream team, like Arif mentioned, the only thing that was missing was the depth. And now here we are in week 4, and now their depth's going to be challenged severely, specifically at the cornerback spot, as we know. Talib and Peters both likely out. You got your kicker, Greg Zerline,
Yep.
Greg Deleg, he's out. So when they're in the middle and towards the later end of the season and their depth is being challenged, like every team's will be, I'm going to be a lot more curious as to, maybe can they keep this up right now? Right now, though, best team in the NFC.
Replacement kicker Sam Ficken. I think he missed a field goal against the Chargers. I may be wrong there. But
I think he did.
Sign Daniel Carlson and let's 2010 this mother. Come on. Come on,
that
baby.
would be good. Yeah.
Yeah, 9 field goals. They went 27-24. Doesn't matter. Yeah. But you mentioned that. All right, so Talib is on IR. Peters is listed as questionable, but on the short week after that injury.
Yeah, I kind of doubt that he'll be back. So you got Sam Shields.
The corpse of Sam Shields.
So he missed all the 2017 season due to retirement. And he missed.
Is that typical in the NFL?
Slash being
It happens
bad.
a lot, actually. You'd be surprised. Then he missed almost all of the 2016 season because of concussion. I think it was the 4th concussion of his career. So he went on IR. I think he played 1 game that year.
Was he still with Green Bay then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so 2015 to the last year that he has played a significant amount of time. It wasn't a great year for him. Wasn't bad. Wasn't a great year for him. He had a lot of problems, wrapping up tackles. He's missed tackles a lot throughout his career. This might be a situation where you take advantage of Marcus Peters and Aqib Talib being gone by throwing short to mitigate the pressure that you're getting up inside from Ndamukong Suh and Aaron Donald, and attacking those corners, forcing them to tackle. Because who's going to help them? Linebackers. Well, they've only got backup linebackers right now. And so, like I said, they're weak at edge rusher, they're weak at linebacker, and now with their starting corners out, you could say they're weak at corner. And so you can throw short. You can win. Here's the weird thing. Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs have size advantages over most of the secondary, which is not something we're used to saying. But you've got Nickel Roby-Coleman. You've got LaMarcus Joyner.
Joyner's not big, as we know.
They're both
Shields
like 5'8".
has shrunk 2 inches because of osteoporosis.
But
Right. Yeah.
I would say this is something that I've been watching over tape last couple weeks is you're noticing a lot more teams taking away Stephon Diggs, kind of rolling coverage over towards his way, which is why you're seeing kind of that increase in targets with guys like Laquan Treadwell and Adam Thielen and whatnot. So kind of like what Arif is saying is like this might be the situation where the Vikings can maybe take advantage of not having a starting corner on Diggs the way that they have been in the last couple weeks.
Because even if you're rolling that coverage over,
exactly, and really find a way rub routes, all that kind of thing to get him into space, to get him a little bit in some of those intermediate and downfield passes and whatnot. So I mean that might be where you see some of that production coming from, especially if there is more of that interior pressure.
Right.
Speaking of interior pressure, so it really annoys me that your worst defensive lineman is Michael Brockers.
So here's the thing about Brockers is that he's incredible when he's playing kind of the role that he was like physically built for, which is actually nose tackle. They've got 3 phenomenal defensive linemen.
Yeah.
But they tend to play Brockers a lot on the edge. And if you take a look at the most successful runs, as I wrote about this at The Athletic, if you take a look at the most successful runs that teams have had against the Rams, they're either misdirection runs, which that makes sense. I mean, Ndamukong Suh and Aaron Donald are actually known to be weak against trap plays. It's been in the book on Suh since he was a Lion.
too aggressive.
Yeah, and it usually works for them. But run some trap plays and maybe you'll get something done.
Oh, they didn't block me. I'm in. Oh.
Well, dang.
I'm that good.
But it's believable for them.
Right.
But other than misdirection plays, the next most successful set of plays were ones where they ran directly at Brockers, which is a weird thing to say. He's a run-stuffing tackle. But they're putting him at the edge, and what's happening is tackles are getting to the outside of him on outside zone runs, and he doesn't have the athleticism to meet them, to go outside. So Brockers is great. They'll rotate him inside. They'll rotate him outside. But because of the weird situation they have where they don't really have edge rushers and they've got this phenomenal set of interior defensive linemen, they put these defensive linemen on the edge. They don't generate as much pressure as an edge rusher should, and they're not as good against the run, even though they're big and they're powerful and they're strong, because they can't set the edge in the same way. So that's an opportunity for the Vikings to attack. Everyone's talking about how the Vikings need to run more. I don't know, maybe. But if they do, probably don't run at Aaron Donald.
I mean, they're still fourth in passing right now, correct?
What, fourth in passing, like adjusted net yards per attempt, passer rating, yards? I don't care about yards.
Yeah, I don't care about yards.
What are you talking about? Kirk Cousins
You
threw for
measure
296 on Sunday, son.
Yeah.
Yeah.
None of this commie yards bullshit.
Comic.
You know that Kirk Cousins is going to break 4,000 yards by 19. Or no, he's going to have 4,018 yards passing.
Sorry,
and
that's
of course,
yards per game.
the difference will be that 19-yard trash play on the end of Buffalo. It's like, we got to spike it. Or we got to go in one more play because Daddy's got a pad. But it's okay. Yeah, whatever.
Daddy's got a pad.
That is right. What's your guys' prediction? Give me a final. Actually, no. Save the prediction for the YouTube channel. Subscribe to the Zone Coverage YouTube channel. All of that good stuff
you go.
over there.
I already gave my prediction away. I'm sorry, guys.
How dare? Is it behind the paywall at the Athletic?
No.
You already
Beginning
said
of the show.
Damn it.
Vikings to cover.
Hey, well, you're not supposed to repeat it.
Oh, sorry.
God,
Vikings to cover.
guys,
All right.
guys,
I already
guys.
mentioned Vikings to cover too. So
Hey, if you want
I
to
actually
bet,
thought we were on the same page.
if you want to bet on the Vikings to cover, mybookie.ag is the place to go. Been in business for years, rock solid, plus 100% cash deposit bonuses, and it's the only place that we gamble at. And Luke gambles a lot. He does. Luke, actually, what's your lock of the week?
Lock of the week's got to be the Cleveland Browns against the Oakland Raiders.
Straight up.
I know these teams better than themselves, okay? I played it. I studied it. I love it. All right?
You are John Gruden.
Baker Mayfield is going to smoke John Gruden. It's the Baker show now.
Wait, so you,
Cleveland's got one of the best
sat-
defenses in the league right now.
I'm
People
sitting
don't-
Deshaun Jackson for Antonio Callaway. I expect
Ooh.
Baker to feed him.
bleeds. The guy bleeds. He saw firsthand on the Senior Bowl. You know what Baker can do.
that sort of
And
ballsy.
then we thought
sitting
we knew
D-Jax.
what Josh Allen couldn't do, but apparently he proved us wrong on Sunday.
Yeah. So lock that up at mybookie.ag and also use the promo code ZONE100, ZONE100 to activate your 100% deposit bonus. Visit mybookie.ag today. You play, you win, and you get paid. All right. Let's actually go through locks of the week. So put out to you, gentlemen. Pick a game straight up. I mean, we're a family-friendly show here. So, Luke, that is your lock of the week. Browns winning straight up at Oakland.
You got it.
What do you take that? I'll go with, you got the 3-0 Dolphins sort of feeling themselves. Adam Gase finally turning into the second coming of Don Shula, even though I think he's still more Mike Shula, whatever. So they're rolling into Foxborough, feeling themselves 3-0. Patriots reeling 1-2. I feel like the Patriots just smoked the Dolphins by 40. It's one of those games.
So you're gonna have him cover 7.5 points?
Yeah,
against an undefeated team?
absolutely.
No, that's bold. I like it.
Yeah. Arif, how about you?
I totally forgot we were gonna do this segment, so you're gonna have to give me a second.
Brand Yanka, how about you?
I'm gonna go Chiefs over the Broncos.
Chiefs.
I'm
I like the
loving
Chiefs
what
over the
I'm loving what the Mahomes
It's 4.5.
show is doing.
See, the Keenum hate
I sat Rodgers
carries
for
over.
Keenum because the Chiefs give up like 40 points a game.
Yeah.
Also, speaking of fantasy bitching, so I have Harrison Butker in a couple of leagues, and it's just like Kansas City just
let him-
scores touchdowns. It's like,
let him
why,
kick field goals, man.
why can't you just stall out at the 30? I mean, one time
They will.
for the kid? Come on. Reef, how about you?
There are some pretty interesting lines. Philadelphia is only
Oh,
favored
no, we're
by...
just picking straight up.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that'll be easy. Yeah, I'll take the Chargers over the Niners.
Again, the CJ Beathard vitriol is
Man.
Yeah.
Would you take them to cover that spread?
9.5 points? That one's
CJ Beathard.
that one's tough. I would say probably, but I was looking for a spread that I liked. I didn't have to do that, so I would have taken Philadelphia -30 against the Titans
Like that.
as my spread pick. Spread lock is that. Straight up lock is the biggest spread of the week. Jesus,
Yeah.
it's easy.
Why wouldn't it be?
You're
Except for Buffalo Green Bay, but I don't want to
yeah,
talk about
it's kind of
Green Bay.
fortunate.
Yeah, I didn't
Your boy
watch it.
Carson
9.5.
Wentz looked pretty good in his debut.
He looked all right.
You look
Oh,
out.
okay.
He did not look like MVP Carson Wentz.
I mean, it's his first
Well,
game back
to you
against
he's
the great
never
Colts
gonna like
defense.
MVP.
You will never accept me for him.
Nah, he looked really good last year. That's not controversial for me. It wasn't difficult for me to say. It took 10 games, but he looked really good. In fairness, those first 3 games were whatever. He had a 60-yard touchdown bounce off a cornerback's head. Am I supposed to give him credit for that? Screw that.
I can't wait
But-
till you become a father, by the way.
I've never
You
did
are the Carson Wentz of this family.
But I mean, like, he looked like whatever, right? He didn't look like MVP Carson Wentz. And you know, if things go like they should, he never will.
Something we will do though is new little segment. This is gonna be called "Tell Me I'm Wrong, Change My Mind, Whatever." So I'm gonna throw out a take, and you tell me if you agree or disagree. Pretty easy peasy lemon squeezy. So number one, I don't think the defense played that bad against Buffalo.
No, I agree. I posted
First
the
half was
defense of the
brutal.
defense.
Second half, boy, they clamped down big time.
The second half was the defense that we're
Yep.
accustomed to seeing.
Yep.
I mean, Arif, you remember the dude who was in your mentions about Zimmer not being able to make halftime adjustments and stuff, and that's like one of the
exactly
few takes.
They took their foot
definitely-
off the gas. They did not want to score in the second half. They did not want to convert third downs. That's the way the Bills are just running out the clock.
They just wanted to run out the clock, which is why they had a bunch of 2-minute drives. That's why they passed the ball 8 times, in the third quarter, or they tried to pass the ball 8 times, 2 scrambles, 2 sacks. The defense I thought played well. And the thing is, if you kind of account for the short field positions they got because of 2 turnovers and a 21-yard net punt after the penalty, they should perform better in those situations than they did because they're a good red zone defense. And I think that a high-level defense gives up probably 8 fewer points, and a really good defense gives up 4 fewer points in those situations, right? Because they gave up 1 field goal, 2 touchdowns, I think. I think that if you account for the short field position, they did, all right. Overall, the Bills in the first 3 quarters were held to a fairly low third down, conversion rate. I thought, and you could say, hey, they played undisciplined. They had a bunch of penalties. So the Linval Joseph penalty live looks way different than the Linval Joseph penalty in slow motion. I think it's one of the issues that we have with slow motion is that he looks like an idiot for like lowering his head in slow motion, but you look at it live and it looks like a totally normal
Taking
thing.
out my guy Eric Wilson's first sack.
But yeah, okay, so we can blame, I guess, Linval Joseph for that. I think it's too easy to blame him for that. I think the Anthony Barr face mask was really bad. But I think the Anthony Barr horse collar wasn't that bad, given that he was pushed into it.
Yeah,
he had a legal tackling position. He was pushed into an illegal tackling position. And was he supposed to let go against a stiff arm? I don't think so. Some people want to talk about how Josh Allen wasn't called for a face mask. They never called it in the offense. I'm not going to complain about it.
Yep.
But I don't blame him too much for that. But yeah, I think the defense overall played pretty well. I think that you had a couple of dumb mistakes that aren't actually all that dumb, generally speaking, and they forced the Bills off the field. And comebacks are built with the defense, right? Like you can't come back if you keep giving up points.
Yeah.
And I thought the defense performed their job in whatever that comeback storyline was supposed to look like.
Next up, tell me where I'm wrong. Dan Bailey played well.
I disagree. I don't think he tried hard enough to get on the field. So.
Baby,
You gotta want it, man.
baby, that
You
onside
have to
kick was
want to.
money.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
But come on, Ham. Come on, CJ. Son. David Morgan was one of the main reasons why protection was so horrible on Sunday.
Because he was missing?
Yes.
Not really. I think the foot injury is a bigger concern. So I don't think there's a huge difference when it comes to chipping and partially blocking defensive end between Kyle Rudolph and David Morgan. I guess Morgan's better at it. But they only had Kyle Rudolph block one-on-one once, and he was on the backside of a bootleg. You expect any tight end to be able to do that, and he sort of didn't. He didn't.
This is a great show for the brands.
Yeah.
It's so great.
But yeah, it's whatever. I don't think Morgan played a huge role in the blocking looking bad.
It would have been nice to have him.
He would've helped.
I don't
But yeah.
think he's the catalyst to why they sucked.
Well, one of the main reasons why they drafted Tyler Conklin out of Central Michigan is blocking prowess.
Oh,
Absolutely not.
Yeah. Next up,
Scouting report.
the typical Twitter take. Kirk Cousins won't survive all season behind this offensive line.
Haven't we said that about every quarterback?
Yeah,
the last 10 years?
they've
doesn't
been
matter what the quarterback
They've been playing
is.
the position
Yeah, only
for
half
how
the
long?
quarterbacks haven't survived. So come on.
R.I.P. That's why there's so much turnover. If only Rick hadn't ignored the offensive line the past 2 off seasons.
And the weird thing is, a lot of these quarterbacks are getting injured on freak accidents, right? They're rolling out and their their leg gets jammed to the turf and like tear their ACL or something.
You gotta get that extra half yard on. What was it 3rd and 20?
Yeah.
Yeah. You gotta do that.
Gotta do it.
Yeah. Sorry, Jimmy. Stephen Weatherly is a future NFL starter.
Hey, I was a big Weatherly guy coming out.
Yeah.
7th round guy, just has, a good rotation.
Dude, you
Guy-
can
as
break
a
down that
starter,
harmony though.
Yeah.
That was good.
I
As
like
a
how that
starter,
ended.
though, I
That's
don't
good.
know. I mean, you're
Brought
not
to you by
fooling
Zone
anybody.
Coverage.
There's such a huge drastic drop off now from Everson to Weatherly from a game to game, snap to snap point, and I just think that he hasn't like gotten exposed to any degree, but certainly the playmaking ability of Everson is clearly lacking now
Yeah,
once Weatherly's in there.
To me, the level of play he demonstrates kind of reminds me of like Will Hayes or
R.I.P. Will Hayes.
or Shane Ray, or
Sure, yeah, yeah.
a guy who's better than the vast majority of backups, but is not someone you want to rely long term to be a
Right.
starter. And maybe he overcomes that because he does have the athletic tools. He's a
Mm-hmm.
very smart guy. He seems pretty coachable. But I think just generally speaking, he probably won't be a starter. I would love to be proven wrong.
Isn't Shane Ray a 1st-round pick?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, it was.
late
Yeah.
first round, 26, 27.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this
he was
is
at the
this
very-
is
he
a
was at the very-
good outcome for Stephen Weatherly, a bad outcome for Shane Ray.
correct.
We'll meet in the middle, baby. Come on. Georgia Locust signing has been a bust.
What? How? It's
I don't
just
know.
an off-season signing, man. It can't be a bust. He just didn't do as much as people.
I'm just throwing out Twitter takes.
Yet.
That's what I do.
Yeah, whatever.
He hasn't supplanted Sadejo yet. Where's the three safety look? Where's the big nickel?
I couldn't tell you.
He's good on special teams.
Is he?
No.
Oh.
Well, except no one's good. B-Rob will be a Viking by the Eagles game.
That's not a bad.
That's
take.
not-
Yeah,
Agree.
sure.
Are they
Hope
having trouble
so.
reaching him? Like he's on his fishing boat and
Hope
no
so.
reception?
Like he let himself go.
He's already gone.
It's all Bush Light.
He's at Blue Door right now, dude.
No, like because what can the Vikings do roster wise with Everson? Is it
I think they'd
NFI?
have to make an
Is it IR?
official. Yeah, I think they'd have
Yeah.
to make an official commitment.
NFI
like,
for-
we're done with
NFI,
them for
right?
the year already.
Well, so I think NFI makes sense, but what do you do knowing that it's not football? Like, because what NFI does is it allows you to not pay them when you put them on IR. I don't think the Vikings want to do that.
No.
So like, yeah, NFI is a tag that could apply to him, but only if you like put him on IR and choose not to pay him. Do you put him on IR? Do you use one of your slots where you don't have to designate them from return anymore, and now anyone is eligible to return from IR after they spend 6 weeks or whatever it is. But do you put them on IR and consume basically one of those slots to have them come back later if you want? That's probably the best option. I don't know. And here's not option two. They could NFI IR him, but still choose to pay him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
NFI and still pay him to be like, hey, we're okay with you getting the help you need.
Yep. 2 more to go, and then we'll hop into hour 2. Vikings can still make the playoffs if they start 1-3-1.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, I mean it's a tough schedule, but it would be
And get the
difficult.
wild
That would
card.
be the
Yeah.
tougher part of the. I mean, there's a soft spot coming up in the schedule. Still got the Patriots. You got to go, like on the road to the Jets, things like that. But clearly, this was the brutal spot right here at Lambeau, at Philly, at the Rams that you're gonna have to get through.
Yeah. I've just gone back to, you got 5 division games left, 3 at home. You already tied the Packers, so that one's sort of off the books. And then week 16, you're at Detroit. That suddenly matters. And week 17, home against the Bears. That could be for your NFC North Division
Title
crown.
right there, baby.
8-7-1 gets it done.
Watch
Let's go.
out.
Yeah. Last one. Mike Prefer was never a good coordinator.
Oh wow!
Had to lean out on that one. Because
I think I agree with that one. I think he has benefited from a lot of the talent that we've had. That he's when Blair Walsh was playing well, he got a lot of the kudos for
2012 first team All-Pro Blair Walsh. Put some respect on his
right.
name.
He got a lot of credit for that. But I mean, we've seen over the last couple of years, some flubs as far as special teams and not really being. Again, he's had Marcus Sherrills for most of his tenure here.
Yeah, Cordero early on.
He had Cordero early on. So
he had Colquitt brothers at Denver and KC.
Well, so here's what I want to say is, at what point and he's involved in like scouting and stuff like that too. At what point, how many players can you say someone was lucky to have before you're like, maybe they played a role, right? Like, oh, you had a generational talent in Cordell Patterson and Blair Walsh and Percy Harvin and Dante Hall and the Colquitt brothers. Like, and you just keep on listing the amount of people that he was, quote unquote, lucky to have. I feel like that's kind of weird. Like, individually, it's difficult for me to say, yeah, he's the reason that Cordell Patterson did well. I don't think he is, but like, the numbers at some point become overwhelming.
But I mean, let's even look at some of the guys that you named: Cordell Patterson, Percy Harvin. Those two top guys. I mean, they were scouted for the positions that they were going to do, and their unique ability to, again, Percy Harvin just being a playmaker, as well as Cordell Patterson with the ball in their hands. I mean, yeah, they were able to contribute to special teams.
Have they been generational kick returners anywhere outside of the Vikings?
In part,
in the Super Bowl against Denver, Percy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not a good argument. I don't know why you latched onto that.
Speaking of the scouting part, so yeah, obviously he had to have a word in the building when it came to like Jeff Locke. That one didn't work out. Quigley, who was fine, but Daniel Carlson.
Right. So this is kind of my thing is that. So he's done a really poor job with specialists, punters and kickers. And Kluwe got worse after Prefer arrived, right? Kluwe will tell you all about it.
Yeah.
But I mean that gets backed up by the numbers in the net return yards and all that. But I think that so he's done a really poor job with specialists. I think that kind of given the tools that he had with Quigley, I thought he did a good job with Quigley. The thing is, the kickoff coverage unit has generally been pretty good. The kickoff unit has generally been pretty good. Punting has been an issue, obviously, right? And then the punt coverage unit has been really good, except for like this year. The punt coverage unit has been phenomenal throughout the years. How many times have we talked about how great a punt gunner X player is? This player's a great punt gunner. This player's Laquan. I would have never expected him to be a good punt gunner, and he was good.
Yeah, it's part of the scouting.
But once you also say, I mean, just as much as the successes we've also seen, they've had an inability to move on from a guy like Marcus Sherrills, who we have said time and time again, outside of his.
I don't think Marcus Sherrills arrived as a very good punt returner. In fact, he was only a safe punt returner for the first couple of years with the Vikings, and then he started doing stuff that made him a top 3 punt returner in the league.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, even right now.
That sounds like coaching to me.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying even right now, you don't think that you could find the next Marcus Sherrills who also contributes.
But here's the thing, right? So Marcus Sherrills took like 3 years before he become an electric punt returner instead of a viable one. Yeah. Why would you wait when you've got the electric one on your roster? Why would you say, hey, let's cut Marcus Sherrills, wait another 3 years for Holton Hill or Mike Hughes to be an electric punt returner, and then lose him to the starting defense? Like,
no, I'm more saying a guy that's already currently on the roster to be able to become that next guy.
Are you taking punt return reps away from Sherrills to develop this other guy that's not going to return for you for 2 years?
Yeah, but Sherrills has been an electric punt returner for what? How many years have we said that Marcus Sherrills has been this electric punt returner? Probably the last three or 4 years now?
I think 6.
Yeah, and during that time, I mean, have we not had a few guys who were just like, hey, this could be a guy that we could develop? I mean, Adam Thielen could have been that next guy. I mean,
right, but like
Stephon Diggs,
there's not a ton of punt return reps to take, and I don't know why you would take reps away from Sherrills, who has the ability to shift the field, score touchdowns, so that your backup punt returner can take reps, and then you're going to lose him to the offense or the defense. Like,
are you saying that Sherrills is so good already he doesn't need the reps?
No, I'm more or less saying, obviously
he hasn't developed another punt returner because it's hard to do that because you don't have reps to develop them, and more than half the guys that have the athleticism to do it become critical depth or starters for the team, right? Because Stephon Diggs could have been a great punt returner. There's no way you're making him a punt returner. Like, unless it's like Antonio Brown, where that's just where he started and that's what you always want to do. Or
Deshaun Jackson put him back in there in big spots.
Right, yeah. Adrian Peterson, the one kick return. But yeah, I'm not saying Prefer's a good coordinator. I'm saying he has gone from overrated to underrated.
Yeah.
And I think he deserves credit for scouting a bunch of really good players, making players better with him than without him. On some of these units, I think the coverage units have generally been fantastic. I think the failures over the past couple of weeks, obviously it wasn't just one game, over the past couple of weeks, are his fault. They're coaching failures. He should be held accountable for them in some way. Maybe that means firing him after the season. Maybe it means, having a tough talk about kind of what they expect out of him for the rest of the season. I don't know what that accountability looks like. We won't know what it looks like from outside the room. But
Ryan Ficken season.
Bringing in another guy too.
They're grooming Ryan. They're developing him, right? They're giving him special teams coordinator reps, right?
Actually, random, is Sam Ficken the...
No, they're not related. I looked it up.
All right.
But yeah, I thought about it too. The coaching failures are coaching failures. They've been his fault, right? The punt block was his fault, right? The Anthony Harris and Eric Wilson needed to communicate somehow about who they were going to take. They didn't do that, right? The fact that Mike Hughes keeps on taking these friggin' kicks out, which I think one of those is actually kind of defensible.
Stacey Coley's boner.
Those are like his fault, and he should be held accountable to him. He's having a bad year, and he's never been good at handling punters. And the kicking game hasn't been phenomenal with him. So those are all reasons to kind of move on. But I do want to say, he deserves a lot of credit because the Vikings have been very good in certain aspects of special teams for a long time. And even if you have a generational kick returner, take a look at what Jim Fossil's doing with the Rams. So he's probably the best special teams coordinator in the league.
John Bones Fossil.
Right.
Yeah.
Bones.
Former interim head coach.
So they get a new kick returner like every year, and he leads the league in kick return average, or is in the top 3 every year. Scheme plays or your ability to coach and blocking plays a pretty big role in how well those guys do. And Patterson did need to be coached as a kick returner. He kept on making bad reads at times, and he improved over his time with the Vikings as a kick returner. So I think he deserves some credit for how good those return units have been, especially how good those coverage units have been. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him go, and maybe he should go. But I'm just saying, I don't think he's as bad as people say, and he wasn't as good as people said when people said he was good.
Nope, mine not changed. Overrated. Listen hour 2. Shows available on iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Play, zonecoverage.com/machine. But we're going to take your phone calls and your tweets in hour 2. But for Luke and Arif and Yinka and Tom and new guy, I'm Andy Carlson. And bye.